Welcome to my channel. My name is Sammy and this is my end of year book tag. Let's go. Hope everyone had an amazing holiday and happy New Year's Eve 2024. So I thought it was a perfect time to do my 2023 end of year book tag on New Year's Eve. Right before the new year. So I believe Destiny Sidwell is the one who created this book tag. All of the topics will be in the description box below if you would like to do one yourself. That would be awesome. And this might take a while, so let's get started right away. So first category is most disappointing book of the year, and I would have to say that would be A Study in Charlotte. I was so excited going into this book. What I got from the synopsis was this is about relatives of Sherlock Holmes and Watson, and it's a girl and a boy, and they end up going to the same school and then possibly romance, but it's also a mystery series. Yeah, I was like, sign me up. That sounds so up my league. Like I think it's actually a beautiful idea that like Watson and Sherlock Holmes, like even through blood, they will always find each other in some kind of way, either friendship, partnership, or romance. And I thought that was so beautiful, and I was like, this is supposed to be YA. This is considered YA. It's not. In my opinion, it's not. Because there's a lot of trigger warnings if you want to see that. So it'd be my September wrap up. Go watch that video if you want to hear the trigger warnings. I was like so surprised and honestly didn't vibe with it. So would I recommend it? Not necessarily. If you want to give it out and try yourself, I would say go ahead, but I don't think necessarily I would recommend it. Okay, so the next category is what was a underdog book for you? And I would have to say Dead in Gondola by Anne Claire. It is from, I believe it's like the Christie Bookshop Mysteries, I think is like what the series is called. And it's the first book in the series. I think there's been only 2 so far, pretty sure. And I just loved it. It was a random pickup book. And my mom actually picked it out for me and was like, hey, I think you might like this. I'm like, sure, I'll try it. Loved it. It's just one of those like cozy, easy, relaxing mysteries. I don't know if anyone would relate to that, but I just love those little mysteries where it's like it's in a small town, murder happens, and then, you know, amateur sleuth solves it, and you get to go along with them like you're solving that with them. And I just think that's so fun, and I really love the hints of Agatha Christie in it sprinkled in. I really love that because it just gave me, because I know one day I will finish all of Agatha Christie's books and I'm gonna cry that day and not be okay. So I like that there's still, I don't know how I feel about the ones where like, there's one author, she's using Agatha Christie's characters and literally writing new books, and I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think I'm gonna probably read those. I don't know. I'm kind of iffy because I'm like, would that what Agatha Christie would want? And also, aren't you kind of just like still trying to make money off of her when she's dead? I feel like that's kind of messed up. But that's just my opinion. But if it's one of these where like it's their own book and their own story writing, but in their own characters, but they just sprinkle in Agatha Christie like as a novelist in it, I think that's great. And I highly recommend, especially I think this is a great beginner mystery. If you haven't gone to mystery but you want to try it out, I would highly recommend it. Definitely this, because it's modern times. I would say if you're a little scared to get into Agatha Christie because it is dated, it's like, you know, 30s, 40s, 20s, all dated. That is sometimes a little hard to understand at first, so it takes a little more brain power. So if you want to start easy but want to see if you like mystery and Agatha Christie, I would say try out Dead in Gondola by Anne Claire, because I think it is modern times and very easy to understand, and loved it. Highly recommend. Next category is what was an overhyped book you read? So first book I would say is The Silent Patient. I got this secondhand at my used bookstore. I also got the second book, I don't know if it's considered a series, The Maidens. I was so excited to read this because this is actually, I feel like, probably the first like real thriller I ever read. I mostly go into mysteries, and I remember watching Sarah Crowley read this, and she was like obsessed, loved it. Amazing. I was so excited. I'm not saying it's a bad book. It's really good writing, really good, very interesting in the whole like premise of, you know, mute, that kind of thing. It's about a woman who is mute and doesn't talk, and so a psychologist guy comes in and tries to get her to talk. And I found that part really interesting. I really love the psychology part of it because I really am interested in psychology and therapy, so I really found that very interesting. I don't know, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, and I was expecting more from it, honestly. And yeah, I feel like when I got to the ending, I guessed the plot twist already, kind of saw it coming, and then the ending was kind of like, that's it? That's it? That's the ending? You know? Just honestly wasn't my favorite book. I definitely would recommend it if you like thrillers. I would definitely recommend it. Very good, easy to understand, good writing. It wasn't what I thought it was, so I was a little disappointed or let down after I finished it. Yeah. Also another one would have to be, this is gonna be a little bit controversial what I'm about to say, but I have another series, a whole series that I was disappointed by, and this might upset some people. Please don't yell at me. We all have our own opinions, and that's okay. Books I was disappointed by: the Summer I Turned Pretty series. There, I said it. Don't yell at me. I know. I didn't hate it. I love the series. The series is great. Don't get mad at me. But when I watched the first series, the TV show, I was like, ooh, this is interesting. I found out this book series. I was like, oh, I'm gonna read the series before season 2 comes out, like right before, so then I'm like, know what's gonna happen, or, you know. Not a good idea, because after I read the books, I was turned off from the show. I had no interest to watch the show. I literally was like, it came out and I was like, I don't wanna. I don't wanna. After I read the books. It's so hard to read a book when you find the main character so annoying. You can't enjoy it. I found Belly, which, by the way, Izzy. There's so many different nicknames in Belly, so I'm gonna call her Isabel, okay? Isabel, she was so annoying and so childish, and also like I just felt like she was so selfish too, that like all she thought about was herself and how she felt, or she didn't even like think that like, oh, I'm like putting two brothers against each other that I've literally known my whole life, and literally they're going through some hard stuff and I'm just don't care. It's about me. And yeah, so I found them very immature, which I understand they're teenagers. I understand. Conrad's the only person I liked. And also the ending, like, you've read 3 books, you're waiting for the ending that, you know, like most of us want, and we get 5 seconds of it and then it's done. Like, we don't even get them happy together. Like, I want to know, like, do they have kids? What career do they take on? Like, so many things. No. So, yeah. I honestly, this is one of those rare times I actually prefer the TV show to the books, which is crazy. But wasn't my honestly, second book in the series, I have no idea what it's about. No clue. I read it and I was like, what happened in this book? What happened? What was the point of this? The second one. I couldn't tell you at all. Like, I remember the first one, and then I remember main stuff that happens in the third. Couldn't tell you what was the second book about. So yeah, I'm sorry if I upset anyone. If this is your favorite series, I do not judge you. Totally understand. Really love the series, and eventually we'll watch season 2. Maybe I'll wait till season 3 comes out and then I'll just watch both. Those are my favorite. Definitely enjoyed the show more. Let's move on. Please don't be mad at me. Thank you. Okay, so next category is a book that surprised you. I actually have it. Mary Jane. This book definitely surprised me. I remember Sarah Coley was raving about this book, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it might be considered literary fiction or just fiction in general. I'm not completely sure. It's so hard for me, these kind of books. It's like, well, why am I rating it? Like, if there's no romance, if there's not a mystery to solve, if there's not fairies, why would I want to read it? But I gave it a good old try because it is based in, I believe, the 70s. Also, this is secondhand too. Someone's name is written in it. I don't know what that even says, like Abby or something. I don't know. And I had just read Daisy Jones and 6, and I was like, I need more 70s, so I'll give it a try. And it's only like, is it like 300 pages? Yeah, it's really short and very, like, you know, big font, short chapters. I love that. And so yeah, I give it a try. I really enjoyed going along with the journey of this girl, just going through life and realizing that, you know, not everyone lives life the same as your family, and that's okay. And I feel like she really got some good life lessons from this other family, and that I think really helped her, you know, grow into who she ended up becoming. And I really enjoyed it. I really loved learning about the time, like how things worked in the 70s, or like, you know, what they did for fun and how stuff was different to today. I really loved learning about that. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. If you don't like historical stuff, you probably wouldn't like it. It's very, you know, 70s, and, you know, some talks of like drugs and stuff, so it was the 70s. But yeah, I really enjoyed it and recommend. Next category is your favorite book couples of the year. Okay, so first is an obvious. Liz and Wes from Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Oh my god, I adore Liz and Wes. They are definitely my number one couple of the year, 100%. Adorable. Love them. They are kind of, I would say, more frenemies to lovers than friends to lovers, because at first they weren't really friends. They were kind of like enemies, but not really. And then they kind of grew into a nice, beautiful friendship. And this is a YA, adorable, so sleepy cute. Go read it. I love them. I love Liz and Wes, but also I love them both, but Wes. Next couple would be Laurie and Pedro from Salt and Sugar. Oh my, they kind of give the same vibes a little bit as Liz and Wes, because they were actually enemies to lovers, because they're it's kind of like a Romeo and Juliet retelling, where like their families have always hated each other for like generations, so they kind of like grew up always hating each other, and then they never like really got to know each other to realize like, this is stupid, wait a minute. So Seek and Kill also, it's about rival bakeries, and if you read this book, get a pastry, you know, you won't regret it. So good. Third couple would be Iris and Roman from Divine Rivals. Okay, so next category is your favorite main characters of the year. My main two favorite characters would probably be Perro, obviously, from Agatha Christie Hercule Poirot. Definitely, he is one of my number one favorite main characters of this year, and probably honestly will be every year, because I love him. I really love him so much. He's a little weirdo, and I just connect with that. And everyone thinks he's weird and funny looking, and I love him for that. And he's a genius because he solves off these mysteries with his egg-shaped head. That's how she describes him. He has an egg-shaped head, and he's 5'4", and he has a big, huge black mustache, and he eats, I believe, a hard-boiled egg every morning, but it has to be a certain size. And I don't know if it's ever confirmed, but I have confirmed. I have diagnosed Pero with OCD disorder, and I don't think they had that back then. I don't think even Agatha Christie couldn't. Maybe she thought of it, but like, she thought of it before the disorder became a thing. I don't know, but he definitely does, because he'll literally go into a house and like fix stuff that's like not centered. So he definitely has OCD, in my opinion. So my second favorite main character of this year would probably be Pip from Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I absolutely loved her and connected with her so much. I am so excited for the TV show coming out, to actually like see her visually, and I can't wait to read the rest of the series in 2024 to find more out about her, and I just absolutely loved and enjoyed her. Next category is new favorite author you discovered this year. I would have to say the first would be Anne Claire. Christie Bookshop Mystery I talked about before. I just found Anne Claire this year, and I actually read the second book, I believe it's Last Word to the Wise, of the same series, as an arc this year, and loved it. I highly recommend. I'm definitely gonna, any of the series coming out, I will be reading it, like 100%. She's my new auto read for sure author. These are definitely my auto read authors. And the next new author I found this year is Rebecca Carvalho, who wrote Salt and Sugar. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this was her debut novel, which, round of applause, sign language, round of applause. Oh my gosh. If this is her debut, incredible. And also I want more. So please, Rebecca, please keep writing, and if you like to send them to me as arcs, I will read them. Thank you so much. Okay, next category is, what is the happiest book you read this year? No brainer. Better than the movies. Just go read it. Go read it. If you haven't, if you're like, I'm an adult, I'm not gonna read YA, you're missing out. You're missing out, because this is the cutest little book ever. So many cute things, everything in a romance YA that you would want, and I've literally read this twice this year. I read it at the beginning of the year and the end of the year, because I just needed the joy and happiness that this book is filled with. And second time reading it, I still giggled, kicked my feet the same as I did the first time I read it. So and cute. And also, I feel like this was better with like she did good with showing characters as teenagers and being immature and not communicating well, because they're teenagers. They're, you're kind of dumb when you're a teenager, okay? Like, brain's not fully developed. You think, the world is like this small, I get it. And I feel like she did a really good job that I personally think The Summer I Turned Pretty didn't, which this came in 2021, and I know Summer Turned Pretty, I'm pretty sure was written in like 2010, 2015, something like that. So I get it's different timings, but I just felt like she did a much better job depicting real teenagers. That's just my opinion, but literally, if you have not read this, go read it. Go check it out from the library. It's okay. Okay, so next category is the most frustrating book you read this year. The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. I got this as a used book. I heard so many people rave about Lucy Foley, mystery writer, thriller kind of things. I was so excited to try out one of her books, and this synopsis sounds so interesting. It was like, a group of friends who always get together every year on a trip, go somewhere, and they get kind of stranded in the snowstorm, and then one of them ends up dead. So it sounded really interesting, and I was like, yes. So frustrating. One, so many point of views. I was getting confused. Also, so many, like, jump around. Not necessarily different timelines, but, like, she would jump around to, like, okay, this is what's happening, and then would jump to, like, okay, this happened, like, months ago. or years ago or something, and then jump back, and it was just kind of confusing. And then there was like, what was it, like someone died, but then you didn't know who died going on, and I was getting frustrated because they're just like, oh, someone died, but they won't tell us who. But then I got to the point that I was just skipping to the back because I was like, who died? Because how am I supposed to solve the mystery if I don't know who died? Because I need to know who died so I know who has motive to kill that person. Sorry, you can see I am frustrated with this book. And I just felt like the ending, I was like, that's how you're gonna wrap it up? Like, the plot twist wasn't like, it was like, oh, okay, that's interesting, but then like, whoa, that got real dark. And then the ending was like, that, what? Huh? That's my theme of this book. That's my review is, huh? That's my review. So, would I recommend it? No. Personally, I wouldn't. I haven't tried any of her other ones, so maybe her other mysteries are better, and this one just wasn't my favorite, but did not enjoy this one. If anyone wants to buy this copy off me, go on Pink Books, because I don't want it. Next category is the best book adaptation of the year, which of course is Daisy Jones and the Six. Obsessed. I read this book in literally one whole day. Basically, like, all day. I stayed up all night till like 5 a.m. finishing it, crying my eyes out. I actually just watched Haley Pham talk about her favorite books of 2023 video. If you haven't watched that, highly recommend go watch that. I love watching her videos. She talked about Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and she said like it felt like she was watching a documentary or a movie while reading it, and I feel like that's kind of what Taylor Jenkins Reid does. That's kind of how I felt in this, like, you know, before the series came out. I felt like I was watching an interview, and I love like documentary interview stuff. Love that. And I kind of thinking I might add Carrie Soto is Back on my 2024 TBR. I think this was probably the best book adaptation that I have watched, honestly, so far. I felt like, honestly, not a lot. They didn't change a lot. They stuck pretty closely to the book, and the music was so good. She wrote some lyrics to some of the songs, and I did read these, and I was kind of like, it's one way to like read lyrics. It's kind of like, eh. But I think what they came out with for the show, I have that album on repeat. It's so good. I feel like I love the sound. The 70s sound is so good. All their voices and instrument. I think it's so cool that like the actors all play the instruments that their character's supposed to play. They actually learned how to play it, and they, you know, I believe Riley, she learned, you know, really practiced and learned how to really sing. So good. So good. If you have not read this book, which, where have you been? But if you have not read this book and you have not watched the series, go do both. Obviously, read the book first, then the series, and then you jam onto the music all the time. Like, it's so good. I bawled my eyes out hard on this series. Just saying. So grab some tissues, but highly recommend go read it and watch the series. Next category is, what is the longest book you read this year? This big sucker. Let me see how many pages this sucker is. 576. I know that's probably not a lot to a lot of people who read, like, what's it, Sarah J. Maas? Is that her name? Hope I didn't mess up. Like, I don't really understand all that fantasy stuff, sorry. But her stuff is like 900 pages, or Stephen King's like 900. I know 500 is not that big of a deal. So yeah, 500 pages is long for me, very long. I can't believe, did I ever say what book it is? It's The Lincoln Highway by, I think it's Omar Tools. I hope I said that right. I'm sorry if I didn't. But yeah, The Lincoln Highway. It's a historical fiction, if you don't know. And yeah, I was so shocked. I read this 500-page book in 2 days. That's how fast-paced this book was, and so good and so interesting. I literally couldn't put it down. It was heavy to read. I literally had to put a pillow and like set it down because I couldn't hold it, because it is a hardcover and it's huge. One interesting thing, just for fun, is the quotes. If you look, it has little like dashes instead of quotation marks. I don't know if you could see that, but so instead of quotation marks for the dialogue, it's just dashes, which I thought was interesting. It was a bit like I had to get used to it, but towards the end I like got it down. This is like a journey of I think only like a week or 10 days or something like that. Also, look at this cool map. Shows like the Lincoln Highway. I actually have some signs in my town I've seen of where the Lincoln Highway was. I live in California, so it was really cool to learn about them, and then traveling to California was very interesting. And the crazy journeys that they go on in this book and adventures was insane. Crazy plot twist at the end, didn't see coming, and loved it. And I can't wait to try out more of his books. I know a lot of people rave about A Gentleman in Moscow, which I have not read that, but I'm really excited to try that out at some point. I know a lot of people rave about that book, but I know it's 500 pages. But if you love history and just a good, have a good time reading a book, I highly recommend this. I was shocked. I thought I was gonna like it, but after I finished it after 2 days, I was like, man, I really like this book way more than I thought I was going to. So, boop boop. Ooh, it's heavy, it hurts. Next category is, what is the shortest book you read this year? Look how tiny it is. Look how tiny. Oh, it's so tiny. I think it's only 122 pages. It's really short. But I actually read this obviously during Christmas time, and I've never read A Christmas Carol before. I've only seen like parts of movie adaptations, but I did read this year and I really enjoyed it, and now I can say I've read a Charles Dickens book, and I did watch a movie adaptation after I read it, which was The Muppets Christmas Carol. Classic, go watch it, so good. Song slap. It's so good. Pretty much just the main moral of this book is just be kind and appreciate spending time with those you love. Boom. Classic. Yup. Honestly though, if I think about it, I can't name another Charles Dickens book. Can you? If you can, comment down below, because I'm curious. Because I'm like, the only one just off the top of my head, not looking it up, I like think of as a Christmas Carol. Next category is your favorite book covers of the year. And I would say first one is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. Look at this. Oh, the colors. I did read this because Haley Pham did recommend it, but after I saw what the cover looked like, I was like, oh yes. The flowers, her boots, them like back to back, and the cute little drawing of the people. I loved it. So stinking cute. So stinking cute. Next would be Dead and Gone Lola by Anne Claire. This whole video is about Anne Claire because I loved her. Love you, Anne Claire, shout out. I loved it. I love these cute little mystery books where they have like the little icons, little drawings all around it. And I do love The Last Word to the Wise too, but Dead and Gone Lola is my favorite cover because it's just love when it's like a bunch of little things that like are in the book but you don't know until you've read it. I love those kind of covers. And the last would be The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. The old covers, the original ones, are cool, but I do love the new reprinted ones. I love the bold colors with the black background. Just think it looks so cool, and I can't wait to read the rest of that series in 2024. Next category is a book you can't stop thinking about, which obvious, Salt and Sugar. I not gonna lie to you, I think about this book pretty much once a week. Like, I'm like, oh, salt and sugar. Or I think of a scene that happened, or I think of like one of the food they made that I can't stop thinking about. So good. I ate it up. I loved it. I literally ate it up because it's about bakery. The bakeries, get it? I'm hilarious. Just go read it. Literally, moral of this video, go read Salt and Sugar. So cute. They have it on Libby. If you have Libby, that's what I read it on. So good. If you love like Romeo and Juliet, those kind of stories, I love that trope when they like think they pay each other for all their lives and then they realize, oh, wait a minute, you know that is that, and they like help the family realize that like we shouldn't be hating each other. This is stupid, you know. Okay, so definitely highly recommend Salt and Sugar. Next category is Cringiest Read of the Year. That would have to go to Last Chance Books. I read this book because I kept seeing it on Sarah Crowley's TBR cart thing, and it looks so stinking cute. Like they're standing on books, looks pink, so stinking cute. Read the synopsis, was like rival bookstores. Love that. Sounds so cute about books, everything. Yes. No, it was so hard to get through this book, but like I already had gotten like halfway through and I was like, it's really hard for me to DNF a book. It's really hard for me unless it's like really bad. I kind of just like force myself through, you know? Because sometimes too, I feel like I feel powerful after reading a book I hated, because it's like, I hated that, but like I'll like the next one so much more, you know? Or like I hated it so much, I like fought through, I persevered, and I got through it, but I still hated it, you know? Yeah, I did not enjoy any of the characters. I especially did not like the main girl. She was annoying and whiny. Did not enjoy her. Yeah, I did not enjoy the main characters, and also zero chemistry. Zero. Like, I was waiting till I felt like, oh, I can't wait for them to be together. No, I never got that. I actually didn't want them together, honestly. I didn't enjoy it. Okay? It wasn't my favorite. I did cringe through most of it. I personally would not recommend it. So Sarah, I would say, don't read it. So next category is unpopular book you've read. I actually don't have anything for this category. I couldn't think of one that was unpopular that I had read. So next category is lowest rating on Goodreads and highest. Do you agree with it? So the book that was rated the lowest on Goodreads that I read this year was Murder in the Napa Valley. I chose this book for one of my library challenges I did, was to choose a book randomly off the shelf. Did not go good for me. Yeah, I got this book that was like written in like the 90s, which, hey, I like old books and love Agatha Christie, okay? So, yeah, I did not enjoy this. It was really short, which is fine, but it was a mystery and I did not like the characters. Called who did it in the like first chapter. It was really easy to see who did it, and I feel like there was a lot of stuff that was like, why is this in here? Like, this has nothing to do with the mystery, and I really did not enjoy it. So, do not recommend, and I do agree with it being a lower rated book. So the highest rated book that I read this year is The Last Devil to Die by Richard Osman. It's part of the Thursday Murder Club series. Absolutely agree with this. I have mostly rated Thursday Murder Club books mostly 5 stars, I think. They're so good. Go read them. Highly recommend them. So easy to read. Great mystery. Obsessed. This was the 4th book, I believe, in the series. It came out this year. So good. So good, so good, so good, so good. Love this whole series. Will continue the series. Pretty much anything in Richard Osman. Actually, Richard Osman should be on my auto read list to add him. I will read anything that Richard Osman comes out with. Yep, I recommend. So next category is favorite quotes of the year. And obviously, I got a lot of favorite quotes from Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Obviously, some of these quotes you might not get, and they could be spoilers. So, little warning, if you don't want to hear any spoilers from any books, just skip a little bit. So, first what's quote is, "You look best when you're you." Sorry. I love it. Next quote is, "I fell in love with teasing you in the 2nd grade. When I first discovered that I could turn your cheeks pink with just a word, then I fell in love with you." Stop it. Oh, this one's really good. "She's pretty, but her face doesn't transform into sunlight when she talks about music. She's funny, but not spit out your drink in astonishment funny. And when I see her, I don't feel like I have to talk to her or mess up her hair or do something, anything, to get her to swing that glaze on me." Like, stop it. And the last one for better than the movies is, "She's not you." What? She isn't you. I can't. It's so good. It's so bad. And then I just have one quote for Pero, which obviously there's a bunch of quotes I love from Agatha Christie, but this one really just was the main one I wanted to share, and I can't stop saying it after I read it. I'm pretty sure it's in Halloween Party too, if you wanted to know that that's the book it's from. It's, "Put that in your mustache and smoke it." Is that not an iconic quote, or is that an iconic quote? I can't stop saying it. "Put that in your mustache and smoke it." That's iconic. Iconic. Obviously that was said to Pero, but still iconic. Oh, it's so good. Next category is books with the most unique concept you read this year. And I would have to give this to an arc I actually read. It's called How to Solve Your Own Murder. And I felt like this was the most unique concept because this girl, as a teenager, goes to a psychic, and she gets given a fortune that she's going to be murdered. And all this, like, it's like a riddly fortune that she's given. I can't remember all of it, but she, like, remembers it. The book is actually set up into 2 different timelines that goes back and forth, but it's really easy to understand. It's like the modern timeline, and then it jumps to during the 60s timeline when this woman was a teenager, but then in the modern time she's a older woman. And so pretty much all her life she devotes to trying to solve the mystery of her murder, and tries to either figure out who's going to murder her, or to figure out who to make sure is there to solve her murder, or make sure her murderess gets justice, which is very interesting because I feel like I really like this book is the main thing wasn't she was trying to stop her murder, like, weirdly, like, which I feel like it was kind of like the fortune or something, like it was going to come true no matter what. And so she just, instead of focusing on how to stop it from happening, she focused more on making sure that her murder will get justice and not be left, like, unsolved, or, you know, make sure the person who kills her gets punished, you know. And then you have her, I forget all the family stuff, it's like a great niece or a great granddaughter, something like that. She comes into the picture to see if she can solve murder, and I found it very interesting. I hope it's a series because there was a certain couple that was kind of hinting at, and I really like them together, so really hope there's more. Really enjoy that. Highly recommend. I don't think that comes out until March of 2024, so look out for that. I would definitely add it to your TBR list. Highly recommend. Next category is books you read this year that you would reread. I already read Better Than the Movies already this year, so we might do a third next year. We'll see. You never know. But I would actually choose A Girl's Guide to Murder, the first one, which I'm like, do I read it? I might have to read it after I read the second and third one because I haven't read those. I feel like I have to do that after because, like, I just loved going along this journey with her solving this mystery. I just loved going along with it with her, and I just want to do it again. I found it really interesting, and I really enjoyed it. Love the mystery. Highly recommend it if you haven't checked out the series. I'm definitely going to be finishing the series in 2024. I'm very excited, but I could totally see myself rereading the first one because that was my stomach because I'm so hungry. just loved it so much. So next category is Goodreads reading goal reflection and 2024 reading goal. So let's go to my Goodreads, open it up. I got my 2023, I'll pop it up here. So my goal was 50 books this year, and I read 58, so I did go over my goal, which is exciting. I did read 19,873 pages, and I might be adding hopefully a 59 book. I'm currently reading right now The Adventure of the Christmas Pudding by Agatha Christie. I got my Paro bookmark in. Hope I can finish this before the end of the year. And then I'll have 59 books. But I am really proud of myself. I did go over my goal. I have never read this many books in a year before because I've never really dedicated my time to it. Because I kind of always just read whenever I wanted to. And I think last year I read 17 books or something like that. It was crazy. I do need to sometimes take a break because you need to take a break from your eyes and your brain to just do something else. But I feel like I have felt more in love with reading by pushing myself to reading more books. And I'm really happy and proud of myself. So that's my reflection. My 2024 reading goal, I would say I'm probably going to do 55 is the books. I know I read 58 this year, but I don't want to do 60 and then not get there because I'm literally one behind 60. I want to keep reading fun. That's the main thing. I don't want to make it something that I don't enjoy because I'm forcing myself to do it when I don't want to, I want to do that. So I think my reading goal for next year is going to be 55 books. So the last category is what books will you prioritize in 2024? I would say definitely the Natural series, 100%. I read the first one this year and I already know I'm going to be obsessed with this series. I'm so excited. Definitely prioritizing that and the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. Those are my main two series I'm going to be continuing. Obviously, I'm going to be continuing Paro too, but my main book that I know what book I'm going to start with. It's going to be the first book I read in 2024, which is going to be The Murder at the Vicarage by Agatha Christie, but this is a Miss Marple mystery. I have not read a Miss Marple book yet. I've been obsessed with Paro, but I know a lot of people really like Miss Marple too, and I can't wait to read my first Miss Marple. This is definitely the #1 book I'm prioritizing in 2024. I'm very excited. Okay, so that's my end of year book tag. I hope you enjoyed. If you'd like to comment below some of your answers for some of them, that'd be so awesome. And thank you, Destiny. Shout out to Destiny for creating this book tag. So much fun. I had so much fun going through all the books I read this year. Also remembering books that I forgot I read. Does anyone else do that too? You'd be like, what was that book about? I forgot I read that. And yeah, and I'm very excited for this next year. Very exciting. So excited to see what new releases comes out. And thank you so much for watching and Happy New Year. I hope you have amazing New Year's. And please like and subscribe. It means so much to me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. I'm saying it. Put that on your mustache and smoke. I messed up. Put that